All right, BJ from Game Gumbo. I've got my guests here, Cam and Rob and TK from the Board Boys podcast, and we are talking spicy hot games. And one of the ones I wanted to talk about was French Quarter, the brand new loaded roll and write. I'll say brand new, coming soon to Kickstarter. Brand new loaded roll and write from Motor City Gameworks and 25th Century Games. They use that term loaded roll and write, and this is, that's what it is. These are crunchy roll and writes. Has anybody played Fleet the Dice game or Three Sisters or Motor City or any of their other loaded roll and writes? Everybody's played that.
Yep.
Yeah. So
played Three Sisters last night.
If you know anything about those games, you know that they are roll and writes, of course, but they play almost like a big game experience, but only take about 45 minutes an hour to play. So somehow it fits all three of those things and squashes them all together. They're very combo-licious. I call them bubble wrap games because it feels like you're wrapped up in bubble wrap and you're rolling around on the ground and they're just popping bubbles like crazy. Because once you do one thing, it just keeps popping. You're like, okay, I got this thing and I'm going to pop that and it's going to go over here and I'm going to pop that, and your turns can take a while. But that's the fun of these games. French Quarter is the latest one. It's set in, any guesses?
The French Quarter?
The French Quarter in New Orleans. So
it seems very on brand for you.
It does. I saw Chad from 25th Century said it would be criminal not to send you a copy. So I thought that was pretty cool. So
just wait until you find out exactly how on brand it is.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I saw the picture, so I'm not going to spoil it.
Oh, okay. So French Quarter, imagine a bunch of your friends are heading down to New Orleans for a vacation. It's the last day you've been not vacation, like a conference. You've been at the conference the whole time. It's the last night. It's Saturday night, and you just want to blow it out. You have 8 hours to have the best time you can have in the French Quarter. Now, what does that mean? It's going to mean different things to different people. You might be a museum goer. Maybe you want to see the Cabildo or different things. Maybe you want to go try out some of the great food they have there, or watch a second line parade, a little wedding party coming down, or there are other things you can do on Bourbon Street, a little Abita root beer. So that's what this game is about. 8 hours, basically 8 turns. And every one of their load and roll and writes seem to have like a little hook to it, right? So the rondel action in Three Sisters, that's kind of the hook. In Motor City, it's those spatial puzzles of going down the track and trying to get the different bonuses. I haven't played Fleet the Dice game since before COVID, so I don't really remember what the hook is. I think it was the boats. Anybody remember what the kind of the meat of it was?
Boats and fishing.
Yeah,
getting fish in your boats.
I don't remember what the mechanic was that was the hook. In this one, they've taken the spatial puzzle that you have in Motor City, but they've changed up the way you get to those things. And what do I mean by that? If you can see on the screen, for a more than 2-player game, with a 2-player game, you take taxis out. You have these different ways of getting around the French Quarter. We're going to roll all the dice that are assigned to those colors. Technically, the carriage would have one, but I think we had already taken it. And then you choose one of those. On your turn, you're going to choose one of those. And each round, each of the 8 hours, everybody's going to draft 2. So when you draft those things, they do cool stuff. And it just goes basically top to the bottom. They're going to give you those bonuses. For instance, if you see the streetcar picture, it's got a little umbrella and a food, a little shrimp or a crawfish. You're going to get those bonuses on your sheet, just like most of their games. Then you're going to travel, and each of the different cards give you a different way of traveling around the French Quarter. The carriage ride is going to move you 1 to 3 spaces. A taxi cab is going to move you even farther. The streetcar only allows you to move up and down certain streets. The riverboat only allows you to move up and down the Mississippi River. So each one has a different way of doing that. And then, of course, you're going to get the dice. And the dice is going to come into play in the little city itself, inside the little French Quarter. And that's where, Matt and Ben and Adam love these little mathy games, And that's where this part is. You're going to be mapping your visit so that way at the end of the night, you can compare your trip with everybody else. Well, on the map, you're going to put that number in, but it's a puzzle because you have to put the number within plus or minus 1 of all the adjacent buildings. So that's where the map. They love those those mathy games, and that's where this one comes in. By the way, that wine stopper with the fleur-de-lis does not come with the game.
Oh,
I was wondering.
I'm
Sorry.
out.
It doesn't go with the game. So you can see everything else is going to be familiar to you. The ones on the bottom right are the performers that you're going to meet on your travels. Obviously, you want to pop as many of those bubbles as you can to try to get them all. The ones up on the upper right, the umbrellas, that almost all of their games have that. When you pop the umbrellas, every third one is going to give you a free wild. So it's kind of that nugget that we see in failed games, right, Cam? This is the nugget. Yeah, this is the nugget. The umbrella is kind of the nugget. This is the way to let you manipulate the board if you can't get something going. Everything else is based on, if you've ever been to the French Quarter, you know that it's got this kind of Spanish-French architecture, and that's what all these windows are on the top right. Those are just tracks. You're going to be focusing on Bourbon Street. Great. As you go down Bourbon Street, you're going to be getting bonuses. They're either one-time bonuses or all-the-time bonuses or in-game scoring. And the only way to score points on those is to actually reach those multipliers that you see on the upper right-hand side where the fleur-de-lis are. So as you can see, I've played this 4 or 5 times, and everybody has a different way of winning. You might focus on performers, or you might focus on the upgrades, or you might focus on the mapping. But of course, Matt and Ben can't just rest there. It's a loaded roll and write, like a big baked potato. It's got the second line. If anybody takes the socialized dice, at the end of the turn, the second line is going to move around the city, and it's going to score points for all the buildings you've mapped. So just another way to think of this really cool spatial puzzle. These are prototype components. So how would you score an Uber to you had to get some beignets. That's right. I think Café du Monde is actually in the game, but Patrick, you're going to love this. They were cool enough to include Cajun Jewelers and BJ's Gumbo right in
Love
there.
it.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Love it.
So I told my wife that I'm retiring from board gaming after this podcast tonight. There's nothing left to do. Steve, it's in a board game, right?
Empty threat, BJ. Empty threat. We all know it.
Probably so. And there's the little streetcar. Remember, TK, this is not a trolley. This is a streetcar. We're in New Orleans. Okay.
New Orleans.
Yeah.
Love it.
Any thoughts about French Quarter or any of the loaded roll and rights that we see? Have you any experience with those games?
We just played Three Sisters, Cam and I, with Jake not too long ago. It was really good. That one looks sweet. Being able to, you're trying to map your way through the city. I think that's awesome.
Yep.
And it looks like it connects. The theme connects pretty well in there, right?
Yeah, I'm zazzed to try this one. It looks really it just looks really fun. And all those games are kind of like, taking the SAT.
They hurt your brain, man.
No, I just meant like filling out all the bubbles all up and down the thing, send it through the Scantron to see who wins.
Oh, I didn't thought of that. Yeah, that's true.
But no, they're super fun. I like them, and I'm excited to try this. And I love that there's a BJ's Gumbo in there because, maybe you don't know why I'm excited about it, but I love it.
BJ's Gumbo and Cajun Jewelers. Look, you can't beat that, right?
Seems like a missed opportunity for Motor City Games to call it loaded roll and write. There's got to be something car themed there, like a muscle car roll and write or a horsepower roll and write, or
that's the name they chose, loaded roll and write. I kind of understand it,
Yeah.
It does make sense, but you're right. It could have been something a muscle powered roll and write. Rob, what you think?
Looks cool. I am not a roll and write fan, so I play them a couple of I just need a couple of them, and I've got the couple I like. And
I forgot to tell you one of the mechanics in the game, though. It's one versus many.
Oh man,
no, it's not actually. It's not. There's a hidden trick.
No, I normally play them once or twice, and that's about. You know what though? I play most games once or twice. So.
I'm designing a hidden movement roll and write to get Rob into the genre.
Right. Is this Fury of Prudhomme, BJ?
Well,
is that
It could be. It could be Fury of Desatel. It could be. We could see it. I really do like the artwork. It captures the city really well. I love the fact that somebody, I don't know which one of the three, was thinking streetcar, stumbling around, and riverboat. And they all work differently in terms of that. There's also a couple. I think they're going to throw in an expansion, a mayor's expansion, which just adds one more level of complexity on top. I like what I see already. Out of the 4, I gotta say, Steve, this might be my favorite, and here's why. Toledo has become my favorite of all the Italian game designs because it's so accessible. I've taught it to just about anybody, and they pick it up. You know, like it's very accessible. The iconography is easy to figure out. The game starts out a little slow, and by the end of the game, you're taking these really long turns. Same way with French Quarter. I found Motor City to be just brutal on my brain. I mean, it's a really chunky one. Three Sisters was my favorite before this, but I want to get a couple more plays of French Quarter in. Especially want to play it with the new stuff to see if there's any changes. But I don't know, this might be my favorite. So.